For the first time in quite a long while, the Chicago White Sox have legitimate expectations. This is no longer a young team looking to break into the wild card race. Following an aggressive offseason, this is a team who should be competing for the playoffs, competing for the division, and hopefully competing for a world championship this year. It was a busy offseason for the White Sox, and we knew we wanted to be aggressive, but after our wheel spins basically forced our hand in order to do so, we ended up making some big moves. We signed Ketel Marte, adding a veteran bat to the infield. Now, he showed signs of regression last year in Arizona, but still a really good player who I wanted to trade for at the deadline. It's only a one-year contract, so if he continues to regress, it's not a long-term investment. Carlos Estevez has been added to the bullpen. He's played on a few different teams and has been productive. 30 saves last year as the closer for the Padres. The numbers are not great, but he was an all-star and played well in the first half of the year. And then the biggest move was trading for Bryce Miller from the Seattle Mariners. And we have one of the top three-headed monsters in the rotation with him, Noah Schultz, and Drew Thorpe. It was a big price. Alexis Cosmo, Martin Burt, and Jordan Sprinkle. Cosmo, our second rounder back in year one. I've been hoping for him to really break through in AAA and get an opportunity with the big league club, but it has not happened. Martin Burt, our first round pick the following year, a player who I really believe in long term, but with the addition of Shane Schmidt in this year's draft, Martin Burt became expendable. He was the guy we had to move to make this work, and to get a player of Bryce Miller's caliber, I felt like it was worth it, even though Miller is expiring and set to become a free agent at the end of this season. There was a lot of movement across the baseball. Riley Green to the A's. Yordan Alvarez staying within the NL East, going to the Mets. Jose Ramirez stays in the AL Central. He signs with the Detroit Tigers, who lost some pieces but reloaded. The Pirates were big spenders, adding guys like Luke Raley and TJ Friedl. Garrett Hampson ends up with Detroit, a little bit ironic. He's become a total villain of this series, I suppose. Ben Joyce ends up with Toronto, while Dean Kremer signed a late deal with the Athletics. So we had a number of guys who played a big role for us last year, no longer here. We ended up getting some late offers at the end of the offseason. The Diamondbacks offered us Marco Luciano for Prelando Baroa. Luciano has gotten better in Arizona, but Baroa played a big role for us last year. The Phillies offer us Davis Schneider, or should I say, World Series MVP, Davis Schneider, in exchange for Chase Maedroff. I don't think this makes sense for either side. I mean, Schneider just won the World Series MVP, for Christ's sake, while Maedroff, I think, is a good piece for us. Luciano for Maedroff now. I just don't really see a purpose of this. I thought Maedroff was impressive on the big league roster in the second half of the year. Okay, why are these teams offering us the same packages? What are we doing? No, I'm not interested. All right, so that brings us into spring training. Before we get started, though, we've got our last bit of offseason stuff to go over. We'll start with international free agents. We're going to hit the rerun button. The first 10 teams listed here will get international free agents. And as you can see, we are number 17. So that means we will not be adding one this cycle. The Rangers, I think, have gotten a player every year. Their luck is insane. The Angels as well, they've gotten it at least 3 times. But the Rangers, I think, have gotten one every year. Well, they had another one this season. Cal Powers, the power righty hailing from Australia. Next up is the Brewers. They had an intriguing utility bat from Italia with Vincent Solitaro. Keep in mind, everyone here is a 19-year-old, 62 overall with 85 potential. Miguel Oliveira, big bat, going to the Tigers. Catcher Vladimir Vucic headed to the New York Yankees. Austin Wells, a free agent at the end of the year. Kazuo Sato, the Japanese righty, goes to the Reds. Mateo Pinder to the Cardinals. Meat puts the ball in play, man. No strikeouts, but no walks. Joaquin Desquitado from the Philippines goes to the Angels. Julio Cantara from Cuba, big-time power. It's fitting that he'll be playing in Coors with the Rockies. Fernando Santana goes to the Marlins, a reliever who throws absolute gas, but you have no clue where the ball is going. And then Shihano Goro, a Japanese right-hander, going to the Toronto Blue Jays, who have built up one of the best farm systems in Major League Baseball. Next year's free agency class is going to be one of the best ever, headlined by Paul Skeens. The Pirates spent a lot of money this offseason. They want to build a winner this year, but other teams are going to be moving. some of their pending free agents. And we'll start with Toronto trading away Bowden Francis to the Texas Rangers, who really need a fifth starter. The Rangers made the World Series in each of the first 3 seasons of this franchise, but failed to make the playoffs last year. They need depth in their pitching rotation really bad, and Bowden Francis is a big get. First-time All-Star and Gold Glove winner last year, career ERA in the 2s. It's a very similar trade to us getting Bryce Miller in the sense that the Rangers are getting a 1-year rental with a really, really good pitcher, but they're going to have to give up a lot of prospect capital to do it. They're going to really take advantage of the international free agency luck that they've gotten over the last few years by trading a couple of those guys away, including in the outfield Jabari Bisala, now 21 years old, got some big league action last year, third baseman Nikolai Petrov, and then they've got a lot of pitching prospects, including the kid Powers, who they just signed from Australia. I think Reggie Armstrong is probably the weak link in terms of their pitching system. So 3B potentials get it done, which at surface value is a little bit more than we gave up for Bryce Miller. But on the flip side, Martin Burt is better than anyone in that deal for the Rangers. So I think the value there is pretty even. And then the Jays are not done. Anthony Santander, Tony Taters, home run champion in 2 of the last 3 years, is going to the Mariners, who want to add another big-time bat to the lineup after winning the division last year. They like a lot of the guys they have in the outfield, but they could use a short-term upgrade. The price is honestly pretty cheap. Ty Pete and Anthony Peguero, I think that's a really good deal for Seattle. Both of those guys were expendable. As for Toronto, they were great to start last year, but they recognize it's going to be hard to contend in the AL East. The other 4 teams made the postseason last year. Now their highest-rated player is Antoine Sonnenberg, the rookie set to make his debut after tearing his Achilles last year in the minor leagues. The Athletics actually spent quite a bit of money this offseason. The AL West is wide open. They think they are in the mix. However, they're going to trade away Tyler Soderstrom. This cleans up a spot for Nick Kurtz to be the full-time first baseman. Soderstrom's coming off a career year at the plate, but really isn't all that proven other than last year. He's going to the Yankees for Alex Torres. It looks like a small price, but he is the number 3 guy in the New York system. And then last but not least, Jackson Merrill to the Marlins. San Diego wants to shake things up, and the Marlins want to continue to compete, building around their recent MVP winner Connor Norby, despite the loss of Yordan Alvarez moving in division to the Mets, their number 1 competition in the wild card race. Jackson Merrill's been good throughout this series. He's made 3 All-Star teams in his first 5 years in the big leagues, and is only 25 years old, but it feels like his development has plateaued, and he's kind of gotten worse each and every year in San Diego. The Padres have been kind of disappointed over the last couple of years, and they want to shuffle the deck a little bit, and they don't see themselves giving Merrill a big long-term extension. The Marlins, meanwhile, I feel like can do this. They don't really need a 4th outfielder, though, so they're actually going to trade away Griffin Conine to San Diego, a more than big league caliber hitter. Conine offensively really isn't that much worse than Merrill. He just lacks the speed and the range to play center field, but otherwise, he's not that far behind. And then Starling Caba, a 23-year-old shortstop prospect. He's been highly regarded for a while. Knowing San Diego, they'll probably use him in a bigger move at the deadline because, well, that's what they do. So those are our moves across the league, and now we are pretty much set to begin the year. But I actually went through free agency, bargain hunting. We needed to add another reliever, and Penn Murphy's actually still here, so I figured, well, we're already familiar with him. Why not bring him back? I wanted to give him a 1-year deal for around $5 million. And it became very clear to me that he was going to be stingy. It's this or nothing, dude. I don't know why you're saying no. The only choice I have is to give him 2 years, so I decided to budge. 2 years, $9 million. Penn Murphy back with the White Sox. We're going to add some guys to the 40-man roster, including Dre Jamison, who we got at the deadline a couple years ago. Big league experience, but hasn't pitched in the majors since 2023. And then the big ones. Shane Schmidt, our first-round pick this past season, and Barney Wagner, the first-rounder the year before. I'm hopeful that one of these 2 guys starts the year on the opening day roster. We're going to add some other veterans as well, and with that, we are at 40. I think the big storyline in spring training has to be these 2 top prospects, Shane Schmidt and Barney Wagner, 2 huge pieces for us. Schmidt, number 1 in the system. Wagner, number 3. Schmidt is the second-ranked prospect overall. Wagner is 41st. We don't have a very deep system. After Wagner, we have nobody else in the top 100. So once those 2 guys graduate, the farm system is going to look kind of bleak. we're going to have a lot of the guys who need to prove themselves play against righties, and then more of the established guys play against lefties, and then we're going to have the established guys play more as the spring goes along. We have an open competition for the 5th spot in the rotation. I think Jagger Haynes is the favorite, but anyone of Hayden Wesneski, Wilkerman Gonzalez, Prelander Baroa, or Emiliano Teodo could take that spot to join the 4 guys who we already have, again, established. They will all pitch later in the spring. We didn't end up doing that well, 11 and 15, towards the bottom of the Cactus League. Let's take a look at some of our notable performers. Kyle Teal had a great spring. Love to see it. Colson Montgomery hit the ball really well. He struggled mightily in the first half of the spring. I simulated to the halfway point to switch our lineups around. His OPS was like 600, but he's gone on an absolute tear, and I think he might have saved his job here. He's out of minor league options. We would have had to DFA him. I think he's a little too good for that, so he probably would have been a trade candidate, but I think he just made this roster. Shane Schmidt had a good spring, although he slowed down quite a bit towards the end, but overall his numbers look solid. A lot of the veterans were pretty good. Barney Wagner was solid, although like Schmidt, he was better early in the spring and then kind of hit the wall. Just 1 hit in his last 9 games. As for the guys who struggled, Julks, Ramos, Escobedo, granted he did not get a lot of at-bats. Gonzalez was pretty bad. Bimo and Cruz struggled. And then Chase Mydruff was really bad. I think Colson Montgomery may have stolen Mydruff's spot on the roster. And then, of course, Douglas Cato did not play. He's out with a torn Achilles up until June. And then I think that's when we're going to get him back. As for the pitching, Emiliano Teodo statistically was the best of the guys in the competition for the 5th starter spot. Like seeing him do well. The bullpen for the most part was good. Jagger Haynes had a strong spring. He had 1 really bad start, but otherwise he was good. In my opinion, good enough to earn that spot as the 5th starter, especially considering how good he was in the second half of last year in AAA, and then, of course, the final couple starts of the year in the big leagues. Drew Thorpe struggled, though. Wisniewski was not good. Wilkerman Gonzalez really struggled. Estevez was bad, and Jairo Iriarte was as well. So as I narrowed down the roster, we are going to make a trade. Wilkerman Gonzalez is a guy who's been developing in the farm system for a while. I like him a lot. I think he's been a good AAA player. He's gotten some reps in the big leagues. He just had a really bad sprain, though, and I just don't see a spot for him on this roster. He's out of minor league options, and I think someone would pick him off waivers. There's certainly room for him on a big league team, such as the Yankees, who really need a 5th starter badly. So we're going to get 3 prospects. None of these guys are all that exciting, but more bodies for the system. Brian Rincon, switch-hitting shortstop who plays good defense. We need more organizational depth at short. Bobby Roberts, a 22-year-old pitcher, throws hard, good stuff. He's just really raw. And then Chase Gockel, kind of the throw-in. I figured I could add him. The Yankees didn't really value him. So that's going to be our move. And Wilkerman Gonzalez is the first of 14 players from the 40-man roster who we're going to have to send down, I guess in his case, to another team. But for everybody else, to the minors. So Jagger Haynes will officially be the 5th starter. Teodo will go to the minors, although I hope to have him make his big league debut this year. Prelander Baroa will stick on the big league team as our line reliever innings eater. Dre Jamison will go down to the minors. Everybody else here will make the team. Jairo Iriarte had a bad spring, though. I'm hoping he does better. As for the young guys, the big storyline, will Shane Schmidt or Barney Wagner see the team on opening day? Wagner, I think, needs a little more fine-tuning. I like the skill set, the contact, the discipline, the clutch. I think he'll make his debut at some point this year, but not yet. As for Shane Schmidt, I was back and forth with this one. I think he's good enough to play in the majors right now, and I originally was going to keep him, but I then got cold feet. I want to put him in the minors just for a little bit, just so we can get some more at-bats against live pitching. For us as a contending team, I think it could be a little reckless to throw an 18-year-old out there right away. So we're going to see how he does early, and if he performs well, I'm going to call him up. Mydruff is going to go down to the minors. He really struggled here in the spring, while Colson Montgomery does make the team. And this kind of feels like his last chance. Now that he's out of minor league options, he's down to C potential. There's not that much room for him to grow in terms of his attributes, which isn't great because his skill set is, well, not particularly good. He was maybe the worst player in baseball last year before we sent him down, but we're going to give him one more shot. As for the outfield, Claudio Rubio is actually going to stay on the big league roster. This is when I originally decided to keep Shane Schmidt, and I accidentally sent Rubio down instead, but he will make the opening day team. So with that, the squad is set. Our opening 26 for season number 5. One more order of business, though. I want to talk contracts here. We've got a lot of guys due for extensions. Big upcoming free agency class with Lou Bob, Marte, and Miller. Luis Robert is going to be expensive. I don't know what his long-term future is, but I don't want to extend him right now. This is a lot of money for a guy in his 30s who relies on athleticism. I think the price for Miller is a little bit more fair, but we're going to hold off for now. I'd rather focus on some of these younger guys like Noah Schultz and Edgar Caro. Schultz just entered arbitration. Caro will next year. So I went back and forth on who I wanted to potentially extend here. With Caro, obviously, he's an elite bat. He had an unbelievable rookie year. And then last season, his numbers are scary identical to his rookie year. Now, granted, for most of the year, they were better. And then he just was terrible the last 2 weeks. His WAR is lower, though. That's because he played a lot of first base last year. I think he's going to catch more this season since Shane Schmidt can really only play first. We might have lineups with Schmidt at first, Caro at catcher, and then Kyle Teal in the outfield. The price tag has gone up for him a lot, though, since last year. And then Noah Schultz was terrific this past season. The best pitcher on the staff. 25 years old. I think you're looking at a future all-star, a future ace. And he wants to be paid as such. Now, as we look at our long-term contracts, we don't have that many big deals. Thorpe only has 2 more years after this one. Teal has 4. And that's it. Those are the only 2 guys on the books. So, I say screw it. Why not just pay both of them? Why not get this done now? Noah Schultz does not want to be locked up super long-term, though. He wants to hit the market when he's roughly 30. But I think an extra $10 million could change his mind. 5 years, $122, the biggest contract in the history of the White Sox to Noah Schultz, but we're not done. Edgar Caro, 6 years, $90 million. He says yes. The second biggest contract in the history of the White Sox. That's kind of sad. But we just got these huge deals done for 2 of our big stars. Noah Schultz and Edgar Caro are here for the long haul. These 2 guys are absolutely building blocks for this team. And you see all these smart organizations like the Braves, the Astros, the Padres, even Arizona, always getting ahead of it with their free agents. You notice how those teams are always at the top of the standings for the most part? It's not a coincidence. Those guys paid their teams early, and they reap the rewards. So with that, now we're ready to go for the regular season. We will start the season in Chicago, but not at home. We're going to Wrigley to play against the Cubs to open up the year. That is a fire opening day series. We'll get through our first 2 sets today with 3 more on the road against Cleveland. To think 4 years ago, this team was coming off the worst season in MLB history, and now we have so much going for us. A really exciting young nucleus with a team who was just a game out of the postseason last year. Big spenders in the offseason, getting Ketel Marte and Bryce Miller, extending young stars like Noah Schultz and Edgar Caro, and patiently awaiting for top prospects like Shane Schmidt and Barney Wagner. But with all this excitement comes expectation, and anything less than a division title and a playoff run would be a failure for this team. This is what we're going to do in terms of the lineups. The big reason why I couldn't get Shane Schmidt on the opening day roster is because I need someone to play short. And against righties, the spot in the lineup is either going to him or Corey Julks, and we need Julks defensively to play short. Now, I'm expecting an injury or someone to struggle at some point, so because of that, someone like Shane Schmidt could quickly get called up. But this is what we're going to be doing in terms of the lineups to start the year, and then the rotation will be Miller as the ace. He will get the ball in the opener. Schultz is the 2. Thorpe, who's been the ace since like episode 3, will be our 3rd starter. I think he's best suited to be a number 2 or a number 3. And then with Hagen Smith at the 4, Jagger Haynes at the 5. A lot of familiar faces in the bullpen. I'm expecting a big year 2 for that guy, Ezra Valenzuela, our all-star closer from a year ago. I'm super excited about this team that we've built. It feels like the motion that we've set out since the start of this series has finally been fulfilled. Let's take a look at our opponent here, the Cubs, who are also starting a new addition. They gave Ryan Nelson big money in the offseason. The NL Central is going to be really competitive. The Cardinals spent, the Reds and Pirates spent a lot, and then you had the Cubs, who are a playoff team, and the Brewers, who have been consistently the best in the National League Central. One more order of business. It's time to spin the wheel. As always, for the first part of the year, I like to pick 2 from our team, 1 hitter and 1 pitcher. For the pitcher, I'm going to go with Bryce Miller. I think he's the X factor at the pitching staff. The stability, consistency, and dominance that he will bring, I really hope that it can not only help us in the short term, but he can be a long-term guy. Now, granted, that's going to be a lot of money, and we're paying Noah Schultz like an ace now. But Miller's spin ended up being a good one. Demon time. His per 9 ratings will go up to 99 for one start. I'm not going to do it for the game against the Cubs, though, because I want to pitch with the regular Bryce Miller to see what we're working with. So instead, I'm going to give it to him for his next start, which is the last game against Cleveland. As for the bats, our X factor, in my opinion, is Corey Julks. This is a guy who was just on the roster at the start of the series, but last year he ended up being one of our most important players. Him and Cody Hosey were the two best hitters the last month of the year, and with his defensive versatility, we need him as a guy who can play a lot of different positions, including shortstop. So we're going to spin the wheel for Corey Julks. A huge season for him. Last year's the first time he was really a regular starter. And of course, he will be injured for the next month. You've got to be kidding me. This is the one guy I feel confident with defensively to play short. And now he's just not going to play for the next month. Not ideal. So we will see Corey Julks at the start of May. Certainly a problem. Who will replace him on the big league team? It will not be Shane Schmidt. Colson Montgomery's going to play a lot more. Waldo's going to play a lot more. Ketel Marte's going to have to play a lot at short. Ramos will start against lefties. And Jacob Gonzalez will take the 26th spot on the roster. However, Shane Schmidt will still be called up soon. It's just that we need guys who can play short, and Shane cannot do that. Here we go, the opener in Wrigley to kick off the 2029 season. Expectations are very high for the White Sox. The game is projecting us to win 92 games and win the Central. 7-WAR season for Lou Bob. Shane Schmidt, 308 average, 892 OPS. The game is projecting Shane Schmidt to finish third in the American League in batting average. What I find crazy, though, is the two guys ahead of him are both rookies. David Santos on Minnesota and Antoine Sonnenberg in Toronto. So I'm expecting a crazy Rookie of the Year race once Shane Schmidt is inevitably called up in the next month or so. Here's a look at both lineups, and here's a look at Ryan Nelson, signed from Arizona this offseason. A guy we looked at briefly at the trade deadline and in free agency. He's been terrific in this series for Arizona and will be the ace of the staff in Chicago for the Cubs going forward. Former Cub Cody Hosey, a big year for him, leads things off, grounds it up the middle over to short, play is made for the first out. Hosey, a former Rule 5 pick, was with the Cubs at one point. He was third on our team in WAR in terms of position players last year, but in 3 seasons for us, he's only played 200 games. He needs to stay on the field more. The injuries have been a bit of an issue with him. As we take a look at our team's projected averages for this year, 224 for Cruz. Ouch. That'll bring up Kyle Teel, first-time All-Star a year ago. Had a fantastic season. Teel belts that one by the glove of Pete Alonso. It'll roll to the wall in right field, and Kyle Teel is in with a double. So with that, the White Sox have a runner aboard here with one away and an opportunity to score early here in this first inning. Luis Robert is now up for the White Sox. This one grounded down the line, a nice scoop by Alonso for the second out of the inning. Teel makes it to third. Good to have Edgar Caro healthy for opening day after he missed the first half of last year with an injury. 2-2, swing and a miss. Ryan Nelson got him on strikes, and he gets out of the first inning alive. Let's go to the bottom of the first, where we will take a look at our new ace in Bryce Miller. His first opening day start with the White Sox. Hopefully not his last. That'll be a big storyline this year. Him, Marte, and Luis Robert, arguably the 3 best players on the team, all free agents at the end of the year. 2.61 ERA last year. I thought he was going to win the Cy Young until it was stolen from him at the end of the year by Shane McClanahan. His first batter, Jonathan India, pops it up into the outfield. An important year upcoming for Dylan Cruz. 2 more years of arbitration. I'm hoping he takes a leap from last year where he was pretty solid. Dansby Swanson now still here with the Cubs. Goes down on the fastball. That contract ended up aging very well for the Cubs as Swanson nears the end of that deal. Ian Happ had a career year last year in his mid-30s. 1-2, swing and a miss on the slider. Bryce Miller strikes out a pair. And that'll bring us into the top of the second. No scores so far. Ketel Marte leads it off for the White Sox. Our big signing up the middle. What a play at second. Jonathan India makes the throw. What a play. That'll bring up Brian Ramos, who was excellent the first half of last year, then got injured, then kind of struggled in September. I'm hoping for more consistency. He's got 2 years left until he's a free agent, and his first at-bat is a good one. Rips it into the gap, slides into second base safely with a double. We're in a big clutch opportunity, but there's one problem. Guess who's up with 2 outs? Oswaldo Escobedo. And Waldo belts this one into right field. That's going to go for a hit! Waldo has turned a new leaf as Owen Casey has trouble getting to it. Waldo to third. RBI triple! And the White Sox lead it 1-0. Oswaldo Escobedo, a huge season for him. He's played in 180 career games and has a career WAR of 0. On the nose, he's been replacement level. We need more out of him after his struggles a year ago. 3-1 for Braden Montgomery. Belts this one into right center field. Casey at the track, at the wall. It is gone! Braden Montgomery makes it 3-0. I think we're looking at a breakout year for Braden. He was one of the most valuable defensive players in baseball last year. The offense really coming along. His first at-bat last year on opening day was a home run. His first at-bat of the season this year, also a home run, as Chicago makes it 3-0. Cody Hosey up for the White Sox. Back to the top of the order as he goes down on the circle change. But a big inning for the White Sox. The bottom of the order coming up big. RBI triple for Waldo and a 2-run shot for BMO. We'll see if Bryce Miller can continue to pitch well as Alonso goes fishing on the sweeper. A great pitch by Miller. He has 3 punch-outs already, looking like the real deal. Owen Casey up now for the Cubbies. Behind 1-2. Got him looking. 4 score, 4 in a row for Miller. As that brings us to the number 6 hitter, Kevin Alcantara, a guy we know well from the Guardians series and definitely the Marlins franchise in MLB 23. Swings at a pitch he should not have, but it works out. He singles into center. Alcantara was an all-star a couple of years ago, but really struggled last season. His ratings took a hit as a result, hoping for a better year this season. B.J. Murray Jr., the switch hitting DH, belts it into the gap. Lou Bob after it, but Alcantara's got some speed. He will look to score. It's an RBI double for B.J. Murray, and the Cubs make it 3-1. Murray's a guy who really benefited from the rating system that I've implemented in this series. An impressive minor leaguer turned all-star a year ago. Moses Ballesteros on the ground. Good play at third by Hosey. But a busy second inning, though. White Sox get 3. Cubs get 1 back. It's 3-1 as we move into the third. Edgar Caro up for the White Sox with 2 away. Struck out his last time up. And he pops this one up into the shallow infield. Did not pay $90 million for this. He's 0 for 2 as it is caught by Indy. A much better inning on the bump from Ryan Nelson. That'll bring us into the bottom of the third. We'll see if we can get a little bit better of an inning from Miller, even though he did strike out 2 in the second. As Dansby Swanson is up with 2 away. Behind in the count, 1-2. Pitch from Miller. Got him on the sweeper. 5 Ks through 3 for Miller. 1-2-3. Both pitchers retire the side in the third as we move into the fourth. Ketel Marte leads it off, and he crushes this one into right center. That one goes off the tippy top of the wall. I thought for sure it was a homer. It's only a double. He's 1 for 2 with a double, but really should be 2 for 2 with a single and a home run. Ketel Marte has been unlucky. His ex-WOBA versus his actual stats, I feel like there's a noticeable difference through the first 2 at-bats. Brian Ramos hits it high and deep and a right. At the track, at the wall, it's caught by Casey. We do advance the runner, though. Marte now 90 feet away from home plate. Guess who's up to bat, though? Another clutch spot for Oswaldo Escobedo. He came up big last time. Is it too much to ask for another clutch hit? He's already ahead 3-1. Waldo hits it well into center. Actually, not really that well. Only 81 off the bat. It's caught by Kevin Alcantara. A broken clock is right twice a day, but nothing more than that. As we get the Waldo who killed our season last year against the Rangers. Bottom 4, Pete Alonso up for the Cubbies. I've been really impressed with Bryce Miller. He's not a strikeout guy, but the swing and miss stuff's been impressive. Gets another strikeout there, even though Alonso didn't even swing the bat. That's number 6 on the afternoon for Miller, giving a really good first impression. Owen Casey now 2-2. This one is hit well into left. Montgomery cannot make the play. He was trying to weigh whether he should take a back angle and just concede for the single or try to make the diving catch, but he decided too late, and it ends up being a double for Casey. Montgomery was amongst the AL leaders in outfield assists last year, but unable to make the play there. Alcantara goes down on the sweeper. Another strikeout for Miller, who gets through the fourth unscathed. It remains 3-1, and we will move into the fifth. Sticky stuff? I don't think so. Our guy would never cheat. Brandon Montgomery homered his last time up. If he can even be an 800 OPS guy, I mean, you're looking at least a 5-WAR player as he strikes out. Good pitch there by Nelson. Cody Hosey hits this one well into center, and that ball will go for a hit. I feel like Alcantara could have made the play. Cody Hosey now has 94 contact against righties, while Kyle Teal has 93, taking advantage of our other wheel spin in the offseason of +5 contact and -5 power for everyone in the organization, as Kyle Teal draws a walk, and that'll put 2 runners aboard here, and that's going to be it for Ryan Nelson. Not a great first impression as a Cub, not horrible though. I mean, he's only allowed runs so far in the second inning, where we got 3, but he lets up a hit for Hosey, a walk for Teal, the meat of the order due up. I can see why they want to take him out. Javier Assad, a longtime veteran of the Cubs, one of the longest tenured players on the roster, is into the game. 2.86 ERA, 1.27 whip, and just a 3% walk rate in 2028 for the righty. Four Eyes will face off against Luis Robert, who sends this one into right. That'll go for a hit. We're going to hold the runner, even though Casey bobbled it. In hindsight, I think he would have been safe, but I don't want to take the risk. There's one problem, though. The bases are now loaded. How are we going to mess this one up? Full count here for Edgar Caro. You know, a walk would bring in a run. Caro gets a good pitch, though. Hits it into left. I don't think that's enough carry to score this run. It's caught. We are not going to send the run in. He would have been out by a mile. So now there's 2 away. Bases loaded for Ketel Marte, who's a really, really good clutch hitter. The 1-1. Oh, they give us a ball there. That feels like a really generous call. I'm not complaining. I don't know if that should have been a ball, though. 2-1 for Marte. That one is in for a strike, and now 2-2. Got to protect a little bit. Got to be a little more aggressive. Certainly got to look to swing the bat. The last thing we want him to do is go down looking. Watches that one go, and the count is full. Marte's got some of the best plate skills in baseball. Walks a lot. Doesn't strike out a ton. Full count, bases loaded. Everyone goes. Why are you swinging at that? That would have been ball 4. That would have scored the run. Hosey slides in, but the run will not count as Moses Ballesteros makes the throw over to first. And the White Sox leave him loaded for the first time of likely many this year. You know the season's back when we are leaving all 3 bases stranded. Bottom 5, Moses Ballesteros goes down on the slider. Good pitch by Bryce Miller. A lot of these young guys the Cubs have been touting up really have not lived up to expectations. Ballesteros had a good year last year, but Matt Shaw's been shaky. Pete Crow Armstrong's only a bench bat for this team. His OPSs are generally in the 500s or the low 6s. As Jonathan India goes down on the sweeper, 5 very solid innings for Bryce Miller. I think we've got at least 1, who knows, maybe 2 out of Miller the rest of the way. At least 1 more, though, as that'll bring us into the 6th. Neither team has scored since the 2nd inning, for what it's worth. 1-1, 2 away for Waldo. I don't know why he swung at that. Waldo's a guy who does pretty good in terms of drawing walks. I would say that's one of his better attributes, his plate discipline. Not showing it there, though. We'll go bottom 6. Miller's still in the game. Pitch count at 91, so he'll probably crack the 100 threshold today as Swanson goes down looking on the fastball. That'll bring up Ian Happ with the count even. Miller looking cool as a cucumber. 97th pitch of the afternoon. Belts it up the middle. Waldo deflects it away, but it will not stop Happ from getting aboard. Defensively, Waldo's got to improve a lot. The glove has been an issue for him. A big reason why his WAR has been that of a replacement-level player at exactly 0. Pete Alonso goes down on the high fastball. Another strikeout for Miller. Again, not a strikeout guy. That's number 11 for him this afternoon. Looking for 1 more against Owen Casey, the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He got him. 12 strikeouts, a dozen for Bryce Miller in his White Sox debut. He will not return for the 7th. An outstanding first impression. as we go to the top half of inning number 7. Daniel Palencia in for the Cubs. He threw a lot of innings in 2028. He wasn't great, though. Walk rate at 12.5%. Strikeout rate, though, 24.5. That's pretty good. Cody Hosey goes down on the full count fastball. Good pitch by Palencia. The fastball clocking in at 99. Kyle Teal ahead in the count, 3-1, expecting to get a good pitch to hit. And boy, does he! A swing and a drive into right. Flips the bat. It's gone! 440. First home run of the year for Teal, who had 25 a year ago, including one on opening day, just like Braden Montgomery, back-to-back years with opening day homers. Are these two guys turning into our version of Tyler O'Neill? So the White Sox add to the lead. It's now 4-1. 2 away for Luis Robert, 1 for 3 today. Pops it up. Not really going to go anywhere. Alonso is under it. So the Sox only get 1 base runner, but it's a home run for Kyle Teal. And the Sox lead it 4-1 going into the bottom half of the frame. I thought Jairo Iriarte was pretty solid last year. It was a little bumpy, but he looks like a big league caliber reliever. Did not have a good spring, but I'm going to choose to trust the 95-inning sample we got last year. As for Miller, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 12 punch-outs. He was phenomenal in his White Sox debut. 6, 7, 8 hitters due up. That starts with Alcantara, who swings at the high fastball. That pitch, especially high for anyone else. Alcantara at 6'6", with a bigger strike zone than most, as that'll bring up Moses Ballesteros. Count is even, 2-2. And he goes down on the changeup. A good frame for Iriarte. It remains 4-1, as that will bring us into the 8th. Out of the pen for the Cubbies will be, any second now. Hello? Okay, Max Lazar. 4.12 ERA, 1.39 whip. Walk rate at 14% last year. Eek. The Cubs like guys who cannot find the strike zone, I guess. Ketel Marte belts a single into right. Casey jogging after it. I feel like he could have made that catch had he ran to it. That's the second time the Cubs outfielder has done that today. Here is Brian Ramos down the line. Fair ball. We're going to be aggressive. Marte to third. Bobbled it left. He's safe. Really good hustle by Ketel Marte. Not as fast as he used to be. That's why I've been concerned with the idea of him playing short. First and third, 1 away. Big at bat here for Dylan Cruz. And Cruz gets a piece of it. Into the gap. This should score both. Marte safe. It's 5-1. Ramos around third. There will be no play at the plate at 6-1. 2-run double for Dylan Cruz. And the White Sox are in clear control. Lazar will be yanked out of the game. Another bullpen arm needing to be used now for the Cubs, as they will go to a new face, that being Sam Hentges. 3.29 ERA last year. The lefty was a lot better than some of the other guys we've seen for them out of the pen so far. We'll see if he can escape out of this inning alive. We're already up by 5. That'll bring up Oswaldo Escobedo. Another clutch spot for Waldo. Another clutch hit. Who is this guy? Where is Waldo? It's an RBI single for Oswaldo Escobedo. Clearly, he's been working on the fundamental at-bats in the offseason. Runners on base, under pressure. He's delivered today twice. Daniel Schneemann in off the bench for Cody Hosey. He hits better against lefties, despite being a lefty. And he goes down looking. Good inning, though, for the Sox. 2-run double for Cruz and an RBI single for Waldo. We'll give it to Penn Murphy, who returns on a 2-year deal after not being signed until the start of spring training. 3.74 ERA, 1.28 whip last year for Murphy, one of the very few original White Sox still on the roster. Jonathan India goes down looking on the sweeper. That pitch still filthy 5 seasons later. Dansby Swanson full count up the middle. Marte lets it go by. No dive. I feel like he could have at least blocked it. He's also 35 years old. We don't want him getting banged up in a game that we're up by 6 in. We've got 161 more regular season games to go, as Happ lines it over to first anyway. Caro makes the play. Through 8, the White Sox looking good. Here on opening day, we lead it 7-1. Our first ever opening day win of the series came last year. We're looking to make that 2 in a row. Lou Bob up here in the 9th, ahead 3-1. Lines that one, and Alonso, the leaping bear, Polar Bear Pete, Big Meat Pete, comes down with it. 2-2 for Caro. Hits it high into the outfield, not all that deep, as Alcantara will make the play. Caro 0 for 5 here in the opener. Mr. $90 million not off to a great start, as that'll bring us into the bottom of the ninth. Another pitching change for Chicago. It'll be one of our new additions, Carlos Estevez. 4.22 ERA last year. Estevez is going to be our setup guy for much of the year. Originally, he was going to pitch the 8th in this game, and Ezra was going to pitch the 9th, but when we scored the 3 runs in the top of the 8th, well, I figured we didn't really need him, as he lets up a no-out base hit for Alonso. Put your rally caps on, kids. Is this the start of a comeback for Chicago? Alcantara swings at the high slider. I'm surprised Kyle Teal was able to reach up and get that one. That one could have gone like above the backstop. It was so high. 1-2 for B.J. Murray. Swing and a miss. That'll do it. 7-1. The White Sox, representing the South Side, beat their rival, the Cubs, here on opening day. Really, really good team performance. Bryce Miller was terrific. I thought the offense was really good. I didn't have any issues with the defense or the bullpen. Not a lot to be upset about, honestly. This was a really, really good team win. In terms of the offense, BMO homered, Teal homered, Waldo, multiple big runs he drove in. Cruz brings home a pair as well. Miller was great, and then Iriarte, Murphy, and Estevez all doing really solid. The Cubs only had 6 hits and 1 walk. They struck out 17 times, while Ryan Nelson was pretty mediocre and the bullpen was pretty bad. So we win our first game of the year. Stop the count. We're on pace to go 162-0. Before we get to our next 5 games, wrapping up the series against Chicago and then 3 on the road against Cleveland, I want to take a trip to the minors. I know we don't normally talk about the minor leagues until May, but with a guy like Shane Schmidt, it becomes a different conversation, and we're going to player lock the first couple of AAA games for Shane Schmidt. The question is when, not if, he'll be called up, presumably early. He will largely bat third. He's going to switch off between DH and first base. Obviously, he's going to have to learn how to be a good defensive first baseman in the majors. I would rather him not be just a full-time DH, but I really just want to have him focus on hitting the ball right now, because obviously that's why we drafted him, because he's a phenomenal offensive talent. Had a good spring. The power was really good. He drew a lot of walks. Contact, especially in the second half, was a little iffy, though. One of the big reasons why we set him down. So here is Schmidt up in the first inning. We're already down 1-0, off to a great start. His first career at bat in AAA. His first pitch is on the ground. This should be 2. 4-6-3. I don't need to see any more. I'm sold. We can call him up right now because he looks like a perfect fit for the White Sox lineup. William Rivero is on the bump for the Syracuse Mets. Big-time prospect in the Mets organization. He's out of prospect eligibility because he pitched in 10 games at the end of last year for the big league club and was actually pretty good. ERA in the mid-3s. If he was still eligible, though, he'd probably be the 3rd or 4th best prospect in all of baseball as he strikes out Schmidt. So this is a pitcher in Rivero who could be a future Cy Young winner. And then Schmidt, a future big-time bat. This time Schmidt wins the battle, draws a walk. 5-2 into the bottom of the 9th. Chase Mydroff with an RBI double. Genesis Cabrera, we know him from the Giants franchise last year, as Schmidt grounds out to second base. Pretty underwhelming AAA Charlotte debut for Shane Schmidt. 0 for 3 with a walk, a strikeout, and a very untimely double play as we lose the game 5-2. And Schmidt is outperformed by his top prospect counterpart, William Rivero, who I believe is a 79 overall. I'm really surprised he did not make the Mets opening day roster, especially considering, again, he played really well for them in the big leagues at the end of the season last year. I think he's ready to be a full-time starter. But I guess they wanted to see a little bit more of him in the minors, just like us with both Schmidt and Barney Wagner. Emilio Teodo only throws 2 innings. He was not very good. So since Shane Schmidt struggled, I feel like we have to play one more game. We at least got to get a base hit with him, right? Hopefully a home run, but at least a hit. Give us something here. Hoping for a better result here in Game 2 with the Charlotte Knights. Wagner again leading off. Schmidt again hitting third. Charlotte Knights fans, enjoy these guys while you got them. I don't think they're going to be here for too long. But for a minor league game, the stands are kind of filled. I mean, it's easy to see why. Shane Schmidt, box office television, base hit here in the first off of Jackson Wiggins. Another one of the better prospects in the Mets organization. Not as good as, William Rivero. as Schmidt gets plunked. He did not go around, so he will reach base. And now we're down 4-1, including a 2-run single for Aaron Sabato. We had him in the Marlins franchise as well. Okay, we've got a problem here. Shane Schmidt has been plunked twice by Jackson Wiggins. Charge the mound! Jackson Wiggins is officially an op. Shane Schmidt has reached base all 3 at-bats, though. 1 for 1 with a hit and 2 hit-by pitches. Against the lefty Noah Cameron, he strikes out on the high fastball. Schmidt leaves 2 runners aboard with 2 away. He really is a perfect fit for the White Sox. Schmidt will probably get 1 more at-bat here in the 8th, and we're winning! 5-4, love to see it. Soranzo Bonifacio on the mound, former international free agent, as Schmidt chases the high heat, strikes out twice in this one. Charlotte does get the win. Schmidt does get a base hit. He also gets hit twice. Jackson Wiggins has officially made it to the #1 spot on my hit list. But we get the win. And Schmidt at least got a base hit, although he did strike out twice. One of which was in a big spot in this game with 2 runners on. But an impressive comeback, solid game pitching-wise. Romeo Sanabria brings home 3. He had a triple in this game. I did not know he had those types of wheels. Chase Mydroff playing really well so far through the first couple of games. Barney Wagner, I think, has already drawn 3 walks through 2 games, which feels, incredibly on brand for him. Let's get through these next 5. 2 more in Wrigley and then 3 in Cleveland against the Guardians. So we ended up sweeping the Cubs. We won each of the last 2 games 6-3. Here in the first game against Cleveland, we're looking to make it 4-0. We're up 8-4. Cody Hosey 4 for 5. A homer, 2 doubles, and a single. Triple shy at the cycle. Grant Holman, the former White Sox, is on the mound as this one is grounded over to third. New third baseman in Cleveland. No more J-Ram as he makes the play to get Hosey out. White Sox would still win the game, though, 8-4, despite a good throw at the hot corner. Don't look now, folks. The Chicago White Sox are 4-0, playing some very good baseball to start the year. It's a small sample size. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. Hosey leads the way. He was good. Montgomery brings home a pair. Braden Montgomery, through 4 games, has 8 RBIs. He's been really impressive. Hagen Smith was, Bullpen was really good, though. They've been lights out for us. Oswaldo Escobedo strained his calf. We are not going to pull a Pacers, and we are going to sit him for a couple days. We ended up losing the next game, unfortunately. The undefeated dream is dead. Down 3-2 here in this last one. Hunter Gaddis against Kyle Teal, who immediately puts it on the ground. We're really off to a great start. Hunter Gaddis, the new closer here in Cleveland, as Emmanuel Clase gambling his future, signing with the Orioles. And then Cade Smith last year was just horrific, so why would you have him in there over Gaddis? Edgar Caro into left. That one is caught at the wall. The Guardians hold on to win this game 3-2. They take the last 2 against the White Sox. They end up winning this series. I'm not sure what to make of this Cleveland team. They look a lot different after going 500 last year. Obviously, J-Ram is gone. They've made some fun additions. They had Byron Buxton. Freddie Peralta only pitched 1 game for them last year. He fractured his head in his first start. He's already pitched 2 games this year. He's making progress. Teal and Colson Montgomery homered. Bryce Miller, this was his game, being 99 overall across the board, was not all that impressive, to be honest. He wasn't bad, but he did pitch like a 99. So the wheel spin didn't really do much for him, and his ratings will go back down to where they were. Let's look at the other box scores of the games we did not go over. Beat the Cubs 6-3 twice. Here in this second game, got a grand slam for BMO. Lou Bob and Waldo each driving in runs. Noah Schultz with a pretty good start, out-dueling Shota Imanaga. Then the last game we won 6-3. Lou Bob drives in 2. Caro drives in 2. Waldo brings home another. He's been really good so far. We did lose this game, though, 4-2, although Jagger Haynes did have a pretty good first start. Lou Bob led the way for the offense, and nobody else really showed up for us at the plate. The biggest thing to remember here through 6 games is that it's not much of a sample size and we shouldn't take it seriously. Remember last year, at the end of April even, the Angels were above 500, the Blue Jays had the best record in the league, and Garrett Hampson was the MVP frontrunner. So you see the ebbs and flows of baseball, but we're hoping to play well in April. We're going to play the home opener against the Angels. I think we're going to play against the Phillies as well. They did just win the World Series, so I want to see how we stack up against baseball's best. That'll wrap up the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed and are excited for more. Season 5 with the Chicago White Sox. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace out.